So 2 or 3 years ago, I was using a screwdriver for some reason. I don't even know why, to stoke my fire inside my house, inside our fireplace. And I got tired of using my screwdriver to do that. It's just too hot, it's too short, right? So one day I came out here and grabbed whatever I had in the shop and fabricated this fire poker. And just like total freestyling on the thing, right? I just kind of made it up as I went, and I just wanted to get it done. Threw a coat of paint on it, and I've been using it ever since. I actually love this thing. There's not a whole lot I would change about it. That all being said, what I did was for both of my sons-in-laws, I created one for each one of them, right? Evan actually has an outdoor fire pit as well as a fireplace in the house, so I made his extra long. And we spent quite a bit of time, drinking and cussing and discussing around that fire pit. And he said, "That'd be really great if this was a little longer," right? And I made it 32 inches. I mean, it's pretty long, right? So for Christmas, right, I actually drew his name. We draw names for Christmas presents. I drew his name, and I've got a couple of things for him, and that I'm going to give him. But our limit's about $50, right? So I'm going to make him a longer one, longer than 32 inches. I'll give you the dimensions on this thing should you choose to make this thing. I'm not a welder. I play one on YouTube, and we're not putting a wing on an airplane or anything here, right? Now we're not doing like the Alaskan pipeline where leaks count. It's not like that, right? We're just going to tack some metal together, grind it up, and make it look pretty, and we'll be good to go. Got a couple of videos coming up that I think I'd probably like to talk about. I recently featured a Colt pistol 380 caliber in one of my videos. I got rid of that gun for a number of reasons. I'll talk about that later. And acquired this Glock 43X 9mm. So we're going to be talking about that in another video. I recently turned 57 years old. Oh my God, right? And asked for and received a BB gun produced by the Umarex company, licensed by Glock. It actually has the Glock branding on it, and in both of these areas, but it is a BB gun, and it's powered by CO2. I'd also like to do a video on this. This thing is amazing. This happens to be a Model 19, and it is a Generation 4. And if I take and I lay out the Gen 4 against my gun, my everyday carry, which is a Gen 5, and we come down in here and we zoom a little bit, right? You can see the similarities are just uncanny. The weight on this thing, which is the BB gun, right, is amazing. But the differences between the two are really because Gen 4, Gen 5. So I'd like to talk about this a little bit, right? We'll shoot that thing and maybe shoot some video and, get that all wrapped up. All right, got another video coming up too. This is going to be on my new Ford Super Duty pickup truck, and I've had this for about 6 weeks or so now, and really wanted to get sort of acquainted with the vehicle so I could actually draw some opinions. I'm just over the moon with this thing, right? I liked my Chevy, but this is really my dream truck within limits, right? I mean, this is not a $100,000 vehicle, but this thing is beautiful. So we'll do a video on this and do a walkabout. I'm trying to figure out how I want to organize my thoughts on that. All right, overall dimensions. Let's see what we got here. About 17.5 inches overall. Of course, you're going to want to cut this long, right? Because this is going to need a bend. And I sincerely hope that I do not run out of acetylene, because I know I'm running low when I got to heat this thing up. But yeah, I think it was probably, something like this, right? So I could just easily bend it, and then I just whacked it off. All right, so grip width is, we're just short of 4 inches, 3 3/4. Angle piece, what's that, 4 3/4 or thereabouts. 32 is the current size. I'm gonna go 48 plus another 6 inches so I can just make it easier in bending it. That'll work. Yeah, something like that. Dress the ends, get her laid out, weld her up. All right, swapped wheels. This is the cutter. This is going to be a rigid grinding. All right, if this thing kind of matters to you, we've got a Millermatic 135 MIG welder. I'm going to use shielding gas in this particular project. It's just not that very, it's not very windy out today, so I think I'll be fine with that. If it were windy, I'd have to switch to a flux core wire, and I also have to reverse the polarity in the machine to do that. It's no big deal, but we'll just, the shielding gas just produces such a much nicer weld. I've got a magnet set up here. I'm grounded to the base plate that I'm using because my bench is actually wood, so I need to lift that up off there because things are getting ready to get hot. So I'll tack it into place and then get everything all squared away, and then we'll finish the welds. You know, back in the day when I created this bench, I made provision to hold the welder, the stinger, or the grip, or the handle, whatever you want to call it, right? So it just slips in there like that. It's always worked out really, really well. I've got it on all four sides. Here's a close-up of what I did on this bench in order to hold some of these tools that I use, right? I mean, it works perfectly, and I've never regretted that. I've got this on all four legs on this bench. It works perfectly. All right, there's nothing in welding that can't be fixed with a grinder. Here's the rough grind. And see that glob right there? I mean, I like having it all, but I'm not going after that. That's staying. Right? You're just gonna have to live with it, right? I'm gonna switch from the rigid grinder to the soft backed. Do like more of a finish grind on it. All right, so 48 inches is where we want to be overall. All right, 48 inches. So we're right there. I am so low on acetylene, I'm not even sure this thing is going to light up, right? So here we go. looks good. All right. Go quench this in some water. Cut that tail end off. We're good. All right, so this is where we're at. I think it's coming along really, really well. I did just go ahead and do some fine sanding on this. I still got to ease the edges and so forth. And I make this really stupid move, right? I had walked away and gotten distracted, and I bent this in the wrong direction. I want it relative to the handle. I want this hook to go up, right? And it was like off to the side or something weird like that. So I tried to like fix that, and it comes up with this little tiny hook, and I was out of acetylene. So, you know, here I am, day 2. Now I'm back to it, right? I also think it's too long. I think it would benefit from another handle, gripper. Let's call it a grip, right? Something like that on top. You know, just like this, so you can get 2 hands on it because it's pretty heavy. And Evan has used other pokers in his fire pit, and he's broken off all the tiles that sort of surround the circular deal that he's got going on. So I think that would at least help that. I'd love to have it on the side, but he's ambidextrous. Like, he writes right-handed, he bats left, he throws left. So I don't know how he works a poker, right? I don't really know. So I'm going to put it on the top. Therefore, it would be ambidextrous, would it not? So first things first, though, what I need to do is I need to hook these regulators up to this oxyacetylene rig. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. Helps if you have the gas on. We're looking pretty good here. I've taken and just, of course, removed my gloves and just run over all the edges to make sure that they were eased. I used 3 different files in order to do that: a rat tail, and then there was a mill bastard, and there's one that's in between. I don't know what you call that. It's about a 12-inch or so, right? So if you walk up to the log pile, right, or the the fire, and you would hook that like that. And if you need a little bit more leverage, right, you would grab it like this, or you could grab it like this, and sort of ambidextrous this thing in. So I think it's looking good, right? I like this, and I was able to repair the hook. I think you saw that. Depends on whether or not I include that in the video. We'll see. But it's been eased. I think now it needs just a paint job, and this thing's ready to go for Christmas. Awesome. All right, so let's give this thing a paint job. This is mine. I'm going to freshen it up with a little bit of paint. I think that won't hurt it one bit. Double this up, I think. My granddaughter Emily's birthday is on December the 23rd. She's about to turn 12. Her requests for gifts for her birthday are that we donate to less fortunate children for the Christmas holiday. And of course, we're going to honor that and give generously to a charity that honors children. We're also going to get her a nice little gift, and we've all chipped in to do that, right? Just something that she has to open up on her birthday, right? She's 12, and that's something that 12-year-olds like, even though she's decided that's what she wanted most. So I couldn't be more proud of her. All right, let's go paint these things. I've got money in my pocket. I am driving a beautiful vehicle, something that I never actually believed that I would actually own. I'm very grateful for that. And I just told you a little bit of a story about my granddaughter Emily, or our granddaughter Emily. I've been married for 30, coming up on 39 years. And she's really just taken me to school here with offering up her birthday money, which we would typically do, and give that to less fortunate. That's an unbelievable statement from a 12-year-old. I mean, you're just not going to see that every day, right? As I mentioned, we'll get her something for her actual birthday, and then we'll have Christmas, and and she'll enjoy that, to be sure. But I just want to remind everybody that Jesus is the reason for the season. As for me and my house, we'll serve the Lord. We've always been that way. We will always do that. And I'm so humbled by her statements and her thoughts. And as you watch her grow up and become a young woman, she has a real love for people. It's the most humbling thing that you can ever believe. I'm not a people person, right? I interact with them all day long. I work for a company that's a household name, and I hate this job, right? I mean, I just hate this job. And I pray to God regularly to deliver me from this. I'm there for a reason. I'm there for a purpose, and I don't know what that is. But clearly, she has an idea about how things should go. So I'm making this gift for Evan, and I started to think about how I was assembling it and the sort of the finishing I was doing on it. And I thought to myself, we have 3 more grandchildren. They're all boys, younger than Emily. And I started to think about, this thing could actually outlast me, this simple little fire poker, right? Evan has 2 sons, and who knows where this thing might end up, right? In their yard, in these boys' yard, as an adult, as a young married, you know, with a fire pit, reflecting back how we spent so much time around the fire pit doing things, you know, shooting BB guns and talking and, you know, drinking and, you know, just doing guy stuff. And I decided to do a little bit more than what I'd originally planned to do, and it was for their purposes, right? So let's just keep in mind, you know, why we're all here and, you know, what we're all doing. And you may not agree with all that. If you don't believe that there's a higher power, it may be time for you to sit down and think about that a little bit, right? There's a good reason for it, and I, in my younger years, was never a believer in anything spiritual. I was a science guy, and that was that, right? And I just picked up the book, the good book, and I started to read from page 1. I started to read Genesis. And did I have 1,000 questions? Oh yeah. Did I challenge and just think it was a bunch of crap? You better believe I did, right? And I got my questions answered little by little by little, and decided that I had been missing out on something unbelievable, and that I was not able to live life on my own. I just wasn't doing a good job, and I felt this, right? This was in my soul, and I had a, you know, wife and young children, and I wasn't making a whole lot of money, and it took me a lot of time in order to do that. But we kept plugging away, and I accepted Jesus as a as a broken person. So you might want to think about that and see what that does in your life. Amazing stuff may happen. You never know. Thank you for watching and listening. To a helps if you have the gas on. Oh, I need a pair of pliers.